Welcome back.
Hello.
Buddy, George.
I'm here.
People, everybody. Welcome on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, X, Rumble. Welcome. Hey, we're live. You guys know it. We're live. So why don't you text your friends, tell them to jump on, send them the link, and we'll have more people come on and comment. All right, so we got.
If somebody I owe money to or the IRS, this has been taped long ago. I'm out of the country.
Right. Yes. Do you owe money to people? Do you owe anybody money? Do you owe anybody like $10 or $15?
I don't owe anybody money. And by the way,
wait, you owe me $8 peanuts.
What?
George money?
I buy peanuts at.
I paid you. I thought I paid you $10 for the peanuts. If I didn't, I'll pay
Costco.
Mark, George buys peanuts by the bag load for Mark to feed the squirrels outside of his house.
Yeah, because I'm not a Costco guy.
Mark won't go to Costco.
It's too crowded and it's too.
I love it. I go every day.
George goes 4 times a week to Costco.
Sometimes I go twice a day.
And he lives alone and he goes to Costco 4 times.
You really go every day?
Sometimes I go twice.
That's crazy.
What would you possibly need at Costco every day?
I go get gas and then I wander in and
he meets people.
Oh, you talk to people. Hi, I'm George.
Oh God.
By the way, I couldn't fix my background to my usual, so I hope I don't look too funny.
That's okay.
George, you look like you're floating in space. Anyway, okay. So
I don't owe money and I don't loan money. I give money to people. I think we've talked about it. If somebody needs money,
you give money.
You give them and you don't say it's not a loan. Don't worry about paying me back.
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
you keep a friend.
So tonight's topics, so I'll give you a little heads up here, the first topic is a topic for men and women. So men, what do you do when your wife or your whole family are gone for the weekend? That's number one. Second one, when was the last time anybody got in a real fight? The third one is, we'll explain this later. I was told they're called night demons. And it's something that has happened to me, but we'll discuss it. Okay? All right. So first subject is, guys, what is it that, George, Mark, anybody, both of you guys, when your girlfriend, when your wife was gone, George, and your whole family was empty, your whole house was empty, what would you do? Like for the weekend, what would you do?
Well, I would probably sit on the couch and start flicking channels and fall asleep, a quick nap. And then I would get up and sit in do a crossword puzzle in the bathroom for as long as I wanted to, not a limited time. Like, what are you doing in there? And then I would go upstairs and probably lay down on the bed, maybe nap on the bed. And I'd have a drink. I'd blast my guitar. I would go out where I could sit at a bar or a counter and have a drink and something to eat where I don't have to fight that we have to sit at the table. That's what I would do. That's what I want to do if I'm alone. That's
what you did do.
That's how I live. Yeah.
Yeah. So Missy Valentine, your husband, would golf. I mean, that's, we're talking about 48 hours walking around in my underwear. Yeah. I mean, those are like, because the thing is, I'm trying to put this in a way. What is my wife like? There's actually a country song about it. When I'm gone, it's who are you? It's called "Who Are You When I'm Not Around?" And what do I do when my wife and daughter are gone? Georgia, I look for stuff to do. I don't do a whole lot. I'll jump in the pool. I'll smoke a cigar. I'll look for somebody to go to dinner with. But the first thing I do is when they leave is I just sit quietly because it's peaceful. It's just quiet and there's no sound. And that to me is wonderful, right? Because, people around the house always talking, what do you need, this, blah, blah, blah. It's quiet. I love when it's quiet. That's what I do. Mark, what do you do?
Well, I never really had a family, but I've had girlfriends, and usually when they leave, they usually take all their suitcases and everything. No,
See, hang on. T-Dan says he does his honey-do list, but that's the point.
Yeah, I mean,
not to do anything.
Yeah, I honestly
do something for your honey, but you
I
have
was
to do
pretty
it anyway.
much doing the same thing when the girl's there. I would go meet my guys for cigars. I'd go in my office and work. I'd say, I am pretty consistent. There was, nothing special that I said, oh, she's gone for the weekend. Now I can do this, because I've always had girls that said, hey, if you want to go hang out with your friends, go smoke a cigar. So,
and that's why you're alone.
Exactly. Yes. Right. It's probably true.
Daron Kim will watch 2 movies in a row. See, that to me is almost wasting time.
Yeah.
Watching a movie, watching 2 movies in a row is it might be kind of wasting time for me. But hang on. Okay. That's like 4 hours. I could be on the golf course, but everybody's different. I mean, some guys I know, they go out, they get drunk with their friends, and they come home late. That's not what I would do. Mark, you get drunk and come home late every night anyway, so it doesn't.
Yeah. No. I didn't. My routine never really changed much, other than, like girls would go. Denise would go for a week, visit her family, and I would pretty much do everything I did. No, I didn't do stuff with her. I'd go to dinner with friends instead of with her. So, yeah, there wasn't any like, I'm now alone, because I've always kind of lived alone. So to me, it's not a big deal when the wife or family goes away.
I'll go eat alone. I might go get lunch by myself, but I don't think I would go to dinner by myself. Although I've gone to dinner by myself. I find it kind of odd having dinner alone. But I mean, I'll clean up. I mean, I clean the house anyway. I mean, I enjoy doing it. I vacuum and stuff, and I'll do that. That'll take me a couple hours. But other than that, I just enjoy the quiet. I mean, I'll sit in the backyard and I'll just, I'll talk to people on the phone. I'll just, jump in the pool, do stuff like that, which I really
You know what it is? You don't have to check in. You do stuff.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you have to check in?
No, I mean, see, when women are gone, they want to text all the time, tell you what they're doing. Oh, I went to lunch with my friend. We'll be fine if they go away for a week. Most of us would be fine not talking for 3 days. Right?
I think, I think at the end of the day, I just think men just screw it all up. We would, if the wife left for a week, there's so many things we would screw up. So many things. I always picture like scenes of kitchen blowing up and things like that. And it's, that's been in movies forever. But I inevitably, my wife will always ask me to go buy something, and inevitably I buy the wrong thing. Yeah. And it's either because I don't listen to everything she's saying. You need to buy the medium size of this, that, or that, and all I hear is medium size, and I screw up everything else. So that's just me. You have to check in. Alexandra says you have to check in. A quiet house is a luxury, KM. I get it. I don't mind eating alone. I can't stand nonstop talking while eating. Well, okay. You don't like, that's Carolyn Camerari. That's like from Moonstruck. Johnny Camerari. Would you, okay, this is kind of on the subject. Do you enjoy, I know you do. Hey, there's your cat. George, I know you would enjoy this. Do you enjoy eating and watching live music?
Do you mean live in the band in the room with me, or watching TV?
No, at a like a lounge or like a jazz club or something.
You know what? Jazz club would be different, but I would not. If I was going to a rock or a pop show, I'm not a concession guy. I'd like to actually go and eat after the show and sit down and do it. Like I love music. I love going, especially experiencing live music. But I wonder, when you watch a movie, Scott or Mark, when you watch something, does it kick in your business? Like Mark's going, they shouldn't have written that. Or you go, that was a lousy acted scene. I find myself analyzing. It's hard to get lost in the experience for me, music, because I find myself analyzing what I'm watching because it's like work. So I don't really do that except in a jazz club.
I understand. Yeah,
I can escape.
My daughter asked me, "Is that person good? Is that person good? Is that person a good actor?" And I sit there and I find holes in stories and things like that bother me. I'm sure you do too, Mark. I'm sure you find a lot of stuff. What are we? So Bailey and I watched
my stuff.
So Bailey and I watched half of the new Snow White.
Okay. Any good?
No. But what they did was, remember, there's a big controversy.
Yeah.
About the dwarfs. They used real dwarfs, and then they CGI'd them.
Yeah, I heard it looked terrible. I saw the trailers. Did it look? It looked creepy. It didn't look good. Am I right?
The dwarves are like, we get so few opportunities to actually have a lead role like this. Why would you not use us?
No,
that's a whole controversy.
No, that's the controversy. But if I'm being honest, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that they were computerized dwarfs. And even though Marty Kleber, who's a friend of mine, was grumpy.
He's the guy with the black Corvette.
Yes, that's Marty.
Yeah, he was cool. I remember.
He's great, but I didn't, and I feel bad for him. But just as an audience member, I thought, I kind of buy the CGI because it made them so much more of a caricature than if it were real guys. And anyway, that's just my opinion on it. But I did not like the movie. But we're off the track a little bit.
I was going to ask a question about when you're alone. When you're alone and your wife texts you or your girlfriend, do you not quite tell the truth of what you're doing?
No.
Like, what are you doing?
No.
Oh, I'm working. Oh, yeah, you're getting that script fitted? Yeah, I'm working and I'm watching TV, but I don't want to tell them I'm a bum.
You have never been married.
No.
Because the truth always comes out and the wife always asks the right questions. And you find yourself going, well, and you get caught. So no, you have to be honest. You have to say exact. Trust me. If you ever get married but you're too old now, you got it. Okay. So all right. So I mean, being alone is nice. My sister and I are very much alike in that regard. I like to be alone. So does my sister. My brother, not so much. But I like to be alone. I'm a bit of a loner. Okay. We're going to move on to topics. What is David Price? David Price is laughing. David Price lives with somebody, and David Price is never alone. But we love David and Charlotte. So anyway, okay, next subject. When was the last time anybody got in a real fight?
Well,
women, men.
George probably has the best stories. I think one fight I remember, the last fight. I was never a fighter, but I was right out of high school, maybe 19, somewhere in Encino in a bar, and they had Pac-Man, so it had to be the 70s. And
the table Pac-Man or the stand-up Pac-Man?
The table. You could get drinks on it. You play Pac-Man. And this
Cigar
guy
real
named
Real quick,
Larry.
real quick. I broke up with a girl over Ms. Pac-Man.
That's
Really?
funny.
I swear to God, I played it. She had it at her house. I played it so much that she didn't want to see me anymore. It's a true story.
Oh, wow.
Like, go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, it was so we were playing Pac-Man, or me and some friend or girl, and this guy Larry kept putting his hand when I'm doing the Pac-Man over so I couldn't see. Now, it was a stupid game, but we were playing, and he kept doing it. And I said, okay, it's not funny. He kept doing it, and I was drinking, he was drinking, and I kind of pushed him, and then he kind of jumped on me, and we kind of fell over the Pac-Man table. And if you want to call that a fight, we kind of wrestled. And I remember a guy I still know, a guy named Michael, he was there, and he pulls Larry and I apart. And that was like the last and only fight I remember. I was just not a fighter, and it was more like wrestling. And so that's my memory.
Did you get hurt?
What?
Did you get hurt?
No, we just fucking excuse me. I was 19 years old.
Mark has to pay $100.
I have to pay $100 to swear jar. I'm sorry. No, I was like, 19 years old. We fell over the table.
Okay.
We kind of wrestled. There were no punches, and we were pulled apart.
All right. David Price says Mark and I fight all the time.
Yeah.
George, when was the last time you got in a fight?
It's been a while. Gosh, probably.
Is this going to be long, George? You can just tell us. You can just get to the year, and whatever happened.
It's probably like 10 years ago, maybe not that long.
Yeah,
but there was
a fist fight.
Yeah, there was a. I was in a community here that I was out all my kids and my wife and in the car.
We don't care who was there.
And the guy was going the wrong way on a one-way street, and he almost hit me. It wasn't my fault, and I honked at him, and then he was MFing me out the window, and I was like, "You're going the wrong way," and it just escalated.
You're going the wrong way, remember?
It got in
You're going the wrong way.
I feel bad when you get out of the car because that's where it's going, but that's what happened.
Well, I was going to say, you're a real fighter. You're like a black belt. George is actually he can handle himself. No, I'm being serious. So, I basically have a no belt, and I just buy people drinks. If I'm in a bar and it looks like it's tense, I'll buy people drinks. I'm that kind of a guy. I don't do anything to avoid a stupid fight.
My problem was I don't want my kids to see that kind of. This is how you handle a confrontation.
Wait, you're leaving out a whole lot of stuff. Did you hit the guy?
He actually got very intimidated, and it didn't require it because what happens, and this is when you study martial arts, it has to get to a point where it's second nature. So when you get out of the car, I take my shoes off, and people's like, "What's going on? Why are you taking your shoes off?" And it usually doesn't go further than that.
You're kidding me.
No,
you got out of the car and you got out of the car and kicked your shoes off.
Yeah, because sometimes, if you have to take your socks off too, but your feet your toes need to grip the ground.
Wait, time out. Hold on. So the guy mother F's you. You get out of the car and you say, "Hold on a second."
No, I just get out and kick them off and pull.
And the socks, but the socks take some work to get off.
He got completely naked, and it really intimidated the guy. George stripped his shoes, his shirt, his pants, his boxer shorts, and the guy ran. That's the way to do it.
But usually that's enough. But
that actually is a funny scene in a movie. Kicks the shoes off, takes his shirt off, and you think that he keeps going.
The other guy is going.
You know what the hardest thing for a cop is to tangle a guy who's completely naked. Nothing to grip onto, nothing. They hate that.
How many times does that happen to you?
But I don't know if you want.
Well, yeah, you don't want to do that, I guess, But yeah, that's actually a hard thing to take a guy down who's naked.
That's the
unless you give him a drink first.
I'm sorry,
I couldn't resist.
But George, I'm sorry, I got to go back to this. You have to bend over to take your socks off.
No,
you have to.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yes, you do.
You don't have to bend over. You can bend your knee and pull your.
I get it.
He can kick his socks off.
No, wait.
That's how good he is.
But wait,
He
hold
just
on.
kicks in the sock.
You guys go too far down the road from. Hang on. So you stop the car. You get out of the car, kicking your shoes off. I get. You'll look. The guy's out of the car. He's looking at you face to face, or you're like 10 feet apart, whatever it is. So you take your shoes off, and then you say, yeah, "I'm sure you're going. You're going to kick your ass, and I'm going to kill you, and this and that, and back and forth." And as you're doing, but as you're doing this, you're taking your socks off.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a little strange.
I throw my socks at him.
All right. Okay.
Scott, what about you?
Well,
yeah, let's hear yours.
The last real fight I get into, I think I was 13 years old, but I almost got in a bed twice in a nightclub in LA. Probably when I was in my 30s. There was an actor and a comic who was just I don't want to mention his name. He's just a friggin' turd, and he was known for grabbing guys by the crotch. And I knew him, and he was walking towards me, and I said, "You grab me, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. You understand me?" And he said,
in a joking way.
What?
In a joking way, he'd do it.
Whatever it was. I said, "Try me." And he said, "Oh," and he walked away. And then there was another time, another guy. But the last fight I was in, the real fight, I was a kid. I mean, I was walking on 7th Avenue in Brooklyn with my friend Richie and Anthony. And I think my brother, and there was 3 kids walking this way, same age as us, and the 3 of us walking that way. Nobody would give up the sidewalk. And we banged into each other. You want to fight? All right, let's fight. So we went back and got in a huddle and made a plan. My brother made a plan for us.
Wow.
He says, Anthony was a big kid. Anthony, you dive at that kid, Scott. You hit and we beat the crap out of the 3 of them. Bang! I got punched in the ear, which hurt a lot. But we went at it. But we would fight. We would fight on my block.
Wait, Steven just made up a game plan. You take
Steven made the game plan. He says, Anthony, you do this, Richie, you do this, and Scott, you do this. And we went in. It was a good plan, and we beat the crap out of the 3 of them, and that was it. And then, but Richie and Anthony at the time could beat us all up because he was a big kid. But Richie and I used to scrap it up in fun. I loved those guys. But that was the last. My father got in a fight till he was like in his late 60s. My father was a wild man.
Your dad liked to fight, didn't he?
I think he did. I actually think he did. I think he liked beating up people, but he was no joke. Anyway, all right. So that was the last fight. I think. Let me see if anybody. How was your Charles and what? No more fight. You experience a life around, and you are being who you are while doing the. Okay, God is revealing. Yeah, all right. Add now. I don't know what that is. But anyway, that's the last. That's the last fight I was in. Now, moving on to another subject. I want to ask. Something strange happens to me occasionally. I'll be, you know that state when you're lying in bed, and you know you're awake. You're kind of like in a twilight, but you're paralyzed. And it's scary. You just can't move. Yeah. And I lay there and I try with all my might, and I'm afraid, and I don't know, because I don't know if there's some kind of, I heard they were called. No, I'm not falling. I'm not, Nancy. I'm not falling.
Do you feel trapped?
Paralysis? No, wait, hang on.
Yeah. Because I know.
I'm just, I'm afraid because I think it's like somebody on me like this, holding me down, and won't let me get up. And I always think it's some kind of evil spirit. And I fight it and fight it and I fight it and fight it, and then all of a sudden it goes away, and I can move, or I wake up in the morning. I have no idea what that is.
You you
Anybody
know,
here?
my theory
Go ahead.
is you were attempting to exteriorize, leaving your body. You can leave your body now. I mean, Buddhist monks or they talk about you obviously when you die, your soul, you leave the body. A lot of times I've been told this, so I'm just saying this is a one big theory that you're resisting leaving your body because it's like, oh, am I dying? But what's really happening is your soul is lifting up and you hold it down. You're rigid. That's happened to me a couple of times. You get scared, but you can't move, and that's keeping your soul in your body. Yeah. And there are people who say you sometimes leave your body at night when you're sleeping. You may not know that's what dreams are about, some dreams. So I do believe you can exteriorize, and maybe that's maybe what it is. That's been a big theory to a lot of people. I don't know if anybody else has those theories.
What do you think it is, George?
I have rarely had that.
Mark, your mind left long ago.
I don't.
That's true.
I don't look into it as anything spiritual or anything. I just feel I know what you mean, where you're kind of halfway in limbo between sleep and awake, and you're aware of it, but you're still powerless to do anything about it. And I kind of suddenly snap out of it. And, when you're embarrassed, you're alone, but you're embarrassed that you like jump when you're sleeping. You're like, or if you did ever fell asleep on an airplane that happened, it feels like that to me, but I don't read into it very much. It just seems like something that happens occasionally.
Somebody said it's sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it. And
that's the technical term, I think, that doctors, science gives it. But I think it's more spiritual. I do. That's just me.
You think it's spiritual?
I think it's
you don't think it's lucid dreaming and sleep happens all the time, Beth.
Mark,
you don't think it's what were you saying, Mark?
No, I said I think it's spiritual. I think it's you're going to ask me. I don't think it's what. I think it's attempting to exteriorize, which is an actual term of leaving your body, and people get afraid.
When that happens, I tend to kick my slippers off and jump out of the bed.
Yes.
I just find it. I find it absolutely chilling.
It can be very disruptive because, now we're getting into like, if you believe in past lives, this body dies, you leave, you can take another body, another lifetime. Who knows? So maybe you're pulling in the the amnesia of having left your body before, so it's scary. But look, many philosophers or religious people or other kinds have talked about exteriorizing and leaving your body.
I always tend to listen. I always sometimes wake up. Sometimes I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and I'm afraid to look at the foot of my bed.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe somebody will be standing there. I don't
Really?
know. Yeah, like some apparition or some ghost.
Are you in another person's house or is it your own place? Because sometimes there'll be people at the foot of the bed if you're in the wrong house.
No, it's my house. I think Bailey did that to me once. Oh God. She stood by the bed. She was a baby. Holy crap, man. It scared the life out of me. Having a child just staring at you.
That could be creepy. That's like a creepy movie.
Oh man. And on top of that, in Florida, man, it's been thunder and lightning here, which I love, like for the past 3 or 4 nights. And our dog freaks out, but I love it. But you can layer on so many things about being afraid at night. Once you hit thunder and lightning, that goes to a whole other level. But I'm telling you, these night things that I get once in a while, I wish they would. Do you remember the movie? Oh crap! Oh, the Entity. You remember that movie, The Entity?
Vaguely, I know the movie.
A woman, a demon is trying to get to Barbara Hershey,
okay,
actress, and it was scary as hell. It was scary as hell, and I always think it's that. I always think there's something evil in my room that's holding me down, and I'll sit there while I'm frozen. And I'll pray. I'll say, whatever my prayer is, please God, make this stop. But anyway,
well, Julie thinks I might be right. A couple of people.
I saw that. Yeah,
you might be Leanne. Right. Mark is right.
In the state of California might be terrifying. I hate scary movies. Okay, so who's that? Sharon. Can you watch a scary movie and then go to bed?
Yeah.
I told you there was one movie when I was younger. I think I saw in the theaters, Exorcist. And that kind of scared me, but I was probably, 15. I was at home. So I remember I didn't want to go outside in the backyard at night. That was kind of scary.
Why in the backyard?
Well, because we had a backyard and I had to go out in the back at night to take the trash. We had an alley behind the house. So my dad wanted me to take the trash out and I was scared.
But the devil's
that was last week. But no.
The devil's inside the house, not outside.
What's that?
The devil was inside.
No, but Exorcist for a young kid, it was scary.
Yeah.
And so was Rosemary's Baby. That was creepy. Great movie. That was scary.
Very, very creepy. All right.
At my age, once you get into your 20s and 30s, I don't think scary movies affect like they do when you're young.
All right. By the way, I had that thing cut off my tongue.
Okay, you're okay? Really?
I had that thing cut off yesterday.
Wow, that was quick.
Did they burn it off or cut it off?
I bit my tongue a little while back, and it formed scar tissue, and they put some topical on it, and then they stick a needle in it, and then they laser it. It smelled like burning flesh.
Yes. Oh.
But whatever. You know what? We'll see if it lasts. All right, let's do some headlines. You ready? I'm going to read some headlines. Mark, this has been taken away from Mark Jones because he would not read the damn headline. He would not read it.
I couldn't get behind. I didn't know how to do it.
Okay.
You're a performer. You know how to do it. I was terrible at it.
Okay. Woman falls in hospital, told to call ambulance.
I have a theory.
Insurance. Gotta be insurance.
No, I'm gonna. Why?
I have a theory.
Go.
It's probably legal stuff. Like you're in a hospital and you need you need a hospital emergency stuff. You probably have to go through the 911 for the city to be reimbursed. That it has to go on record, be recorded. It's not like a doctor could just walk out the front of a hospital, see a guy get hit by a car. I mean, if it's emergency, he'll run out and help. But I think it has to do with that it has to go through channels because there's kinds of paperwork and payment. So I could understand where you fell and you still need a 911 for them to take you to the hospital or at least show up. I can understand that, actually.
Yeah, here's another one. Man reading headlines is fired.
That was me.
So George, what's your take on that?
On the having to call 911 when you're already in the hospital, it just seems like some kind of a liability is overtaken. The fear of liability is overtaken common sense.
So, an 82-year-old woman with her son was visiting her dying husband, and she fell and was told by the hospital staff that no one could help until an ambulance was called.
Ridiculous.
Well, do you think it's because they needed her to say what was wrong? I don't know. It's crazy, but I kind of see with
somebody said protocol.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Somebody said protocol.
That's okay.
All right. What do we do? Oh, wait.
No.
Hang on. Are we doing the Mark Jones minute?
No. Keep going. Keep going. You made a mistake.
We haven't done this one yet. So it is. I have another headline to read.
Yeah.
You have one more. I thought. Did you have a midget?
No, I got it. Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Man with nothing to declare had 55 tortoises in his pants.
They were shell-shocked.
When a Barbados pet store owner, Rodney Carrington, tried to enter the United States, he told customs officers at Miami Airport He had nothing to declare, but his pants said otherwise. Carrington was arrested Friday after officers said they found 55 red-footed tortoises in his pants. They became suspicious, a federal prosecutor said, after they noticed that Carrington's pants were wriggling and he had some ominous bulges in unusual places.
I get pulled out of line for that every day. So I don't see what the big deal is.
Could you imagine?
You know, I feel bad for the turtles. I do. No, they smuggle in turtles and half of them die. It's terrible. You should go to jail.
But you're getting emotional about it.
Well, yeah, it's animals.
55 tortoises in his pants for the whole flight.
Yeah, because they can sell them. They make money. I mean, they do birds. I've heard all kinds of
you're
things.
missing the point. He has 55 turtles in his pants from Barbados to Miami. What's that? A couple hours? He's got 55 tortoises in his pants.
Well, they're probably fairly small.
Whatever.
Yeah. No, I agree, but I'm saying I think it's cruel.
They were just happy to be
Don't
together.
get upset about it. I'm just going into the
I
flight.
have to.
He said, what do you think? He's sitting there going like this every couple of minutes, going to the bathroom, letting one out, putting it back. I mean, what?
No, you know what? He probably had them taped. And
Excuse
so
me,
they were trying to get out of the tape. It was probably horrible. They weren't running around. They would run off. So he probably had them taped to his arms, his legs.
Right,
Sure.
but they're still trying to move.
I know. You're going to make me cry.
You're taking this the wrong way.
I'm saying
it says every turtle survived and they went back home with their mommies. So don't worry. The turtles are fine.
I don't feel as
The
bad.
tortoises are fine. Don't worry. You know what?
I'm sorry I have a heart.
People are insane. People are absolutely insane. All
How
right.
much money can you make on a tortoise, a little one smuggling? Is it really worth it?
Oh, I think some are very expensive if they're rare. Yeah, I think
tortoise.
It could be $200 for a little tortoise if he's got 50 of them. Yeah, I think those things
That's
can be
not even worth. That's not even worth. I don't know.
Well, these are people do it all the time. They deal in exotic reptiles. Yeah, there's a big market for that. Sure.
All right, Mark. What's the Mark Jones minute about?
Wait. Hold on.
The Mark Jones Minute, yeah!
All right.
Get this one. No, wait. Hold on.
Okay. Take your time, George.
Wait, I need a minute.
No, Mark needs a minute.
I know. Okay.
All right, I'll count. 1, 2, 3.
I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. I'm just going to get longer.
Stuck here. Nope, that's not right.
This is actually more interesting than my 1 minute rant.
This isn't working. I'm sorry. My background's screwed up, and it screwed up my computer.
Let's see. I mean, I'll go on, and then you can jump in on the timing, but I'll try to make it less than a minute. Go. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. I have cable. I have Spectrum cable. I go to Channel 5, Channel 4, Channel 7. At the Cigar Lounge, they have the streaming where you have to go YouTube TV. You have to find. There's no channels. Like you have to look at like A&E, Fox, CNN, and you have to scroll through thousands of things. And then we're watching a police chase, and I say, go to Channel 5. And he goes, what's Channel 5? I go, KTLA, Los Angeles. It takes 10 minutes to find, and there's no rhyme or reason. There's no numbering. You have to find what it is, and you have to go to live TV, and then you have to go to YouTube live. And then if you want to go to Channel 9 to see what their coverage is, you have to do it all over again. And it just...
The Mark Jones Minute is over.
I hate streaming. I will never get streaming as long as I live. You cannot get the channels. I'm constantly going CNN, Fox, back.
Mark, you're gonna lose this battle because yesterday streaming overtook cable and consumption numbers of viewers. So it's
I know, but let me ask you something. Do you guys ever have a channel and then you hit return or last channel, so you pop back? It has a commercial, you pop back. You can't do that on streaming. You got Roku. You have to go to Roku. You got to go to. It's horrible. I will never get streaming. I want my cable, my channels. Anyway, yeah.
Where this stems from, just so you guys know, is when there's a car chase, everything shuts down for Mark. I must watch it. So we get an alert on our phone. There's a car chase, and Mark's blasting the volume, watching it.
We're at the cigar lounge.
We're at
the cigar lounge.
And we can't find it on the TV. So he's losing time. He wants it on all outlets everywhere. So
but think about this. You got a car chase and you got all these TVs on and you can't go to channel 9, to channel 7. You can't go. You have to go in to apps and it literally takes sometimes 10 minutes and it's terrible. So yes. Anyway.
What are you going to do about it?
I'm going to stay on cable.
What if they get rid of it? They're going to get rid of it. They're going to get rid of your cable box.
I can't. I record things. I can't. I want chat. I want NBC, ABC, CBS. I want to be able to go to it.
Nope.
I'm not giving in.
Go try and use your Razor phone from the 80s. That won't work either.
I'm still trying to get my antenna to work on the house for television.
Do they still have that?
You can get. You have to have a digital.
Yeah,
but you can get free TV through the airwaves, digital. The FCC, like the main networks and local stations. I don't know anybody who does, but you can.
Really?
Yes, it's a law. The FCC, you can still get over the air free.
Oh, you know what, Mark? You might have to go back to an antenna and a VCR.
I might do that. I might do that.
There's a beta and a VCR, so he can go back as far as you want.
That's right.
I think you know what, you might want to get prepared and go and get all that equipment.
I've got some old VCRs in the closet.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some mail. George.
Give me a minute.
Oh, did I get you too soon? George, you have to be ready always.
It's been a tough day. My computer's not working right. Here we go.
The first one. Is it up?
Wait, hold on. I want to change something.
By the way, that's my 2 dogs.
Sorry, give me a minute here. I'm sorry.
I have 3 dogs up there in those boxes. See them?
I told you, Scott, one of those boxes looks exactly like JoJo's. Exactly. I think it's the second or the whatever.
I only have one of my.
Did you have a paw print?
No.
They gave me a little paw print with JoJo.
No.
It makes me sad though every time I look at
it.
it.
Well, my dogs are hanging out with me. So, question: does Scott still get residuals from all the TV series has been on, and how all that works? And also, Scott playing the Happy Days softball team that travel around. I enjoy the podcast every week, except for Mark Jones. Thanks. Yeah, I get residuals from a lot of stuff. I get residual checks almost every day.
Wow.
Yeah. So, because a lot of them are directing too. A lot of people know that I did a bunch of directing.
You did a lot of directing, actually.
Yeah, I did a lot.
I get bills every day.
What?
They get bills every day.
I get bills every day too. That's all I do is I write checks. That's what I do with that. I write checks. Did I play on the softball team? I did. I played a bunch. I was shortstop, and it was fun. We played in all the major league ballparks. Fantastic. I'll give you a Happy Days softball story.
Good.
So I used to do a lot of personal appearances at car shows, I guess in the late 70s, maybe early 80s, but I don't know if I do it early. Anyway, and I would film a show. I'd film a Happy Days episode on a Friday night, hop on a red eye, go to Philly or go to Michigan or wherever it was, dead of winter, sleep on the plane, get up and do these autograph signings. And it was tiring. And Happy Days was the team was going to play in a city a particular weekend. And they came to me, one of the producers came and said, "Hey, are you in to come to the ball game? The softball team on the trip we're going on next weekend." I said, "No, I don't want to go." And I said, "Okay." So about an hour later, I'm on the set and my father shows up. And I'm like, "Well, that's weird." And he's got like the mad face. You know when your dad has the mad face? And I went, "Oh, what did I do?" "Oh, crap." He calls me over. He says, "Gary Marshall wants to see us." Gary Marshall, who created Happy Days and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, he says, "Gary wants to see us. What did you do?" I said, "I didn't do anything." He said, "Well, he wants to see us." So we go in his office. It's me and my dad sitting. Gary's at his desk. And Gary says, he says, "One of the reasons why I do television is so that I can play ball. And your son won't play with me. Why is that?" And I looked around. I went, Do you want me to go to Philadelphia?" Gary goes, "Yes. I want you to come and play ball with me." I said, "Okay." He said, "All right, I'll go back to work." That was it. He was mad at me because I didn't want to go play with him because he loved to play softball and he knew that I was a good athlete, so he wanted me to get out there. He was pissed. Anyway, next.
George, one quick question. You got to keep the letter a little shorter. We couldn't. You had the letter taking the whole screen and just, you know
Mark,
what I'm saying? Remember we talked about that?
It's a mailbag.
Yeah, the mailbag should be, once you show the letter, get back to Scott.
Next.
All of us.
Next.
Hold on, Mark. Maybe take the letter off. So now I got.
Well, the letter was filling the whole screen, and we saw just a little bit of thing. I have to teach George how to do
this. This be a much smoother operation.
I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you about Gary Lovin in ball. It was occasionally I would go to his house here in Toluca Lake and play basketball on, I think it was Saturday or Sunday. I'm surprised I never ran into you there because, but you were already playing. What?
You play basketball?
Yeah. Well, I did. Gary Freakin used to take me there because Gary was on Happy Days with you. He was my friend who was the dwarf in the.
He played Clarence.
Clarence Cook. Yeah.
Cook. Wait a minute. I only went there a handful of times.
George, Scott saw you there.
Like some of the guys that were there, but anyway. Okay, next letter. Now, here we go. This is a question for Scott. Yeah, are you a method actor? Do you study and research, or do you just build your characters around the words on the page? Do you have any rituals that you do, superstitions and such regarding routines? Do you put your left or right sock on first? Something's out of place in your house. Do you feel out of place too? Thanks. Love the show. Don't love Mark Jones. Janet.
I think we put this up because of the method acting question.
No. No. Do you study and research? No. No.
George.
I just, you know what? I do most of the dialogue as I would do it. If I'm playing a drunk in a movie or playing how I would do the line. And that's all I can say. I try to make everything as natural as possible. I don't, people use method. It's great. I don't, but that's everybody's got their thing. And what, Mark?
No, I was going to say, I was going to ask you a question about that. There's the cliche of actors, right? The way to play drunk is you don't act drunk. Is that considered method, or is that completely not? The idea is
drunk is to don't play drunk.
Yes, it's like how when people have to play drunk, the idea is actors have said
small.
What's that?
You got to do it small.
Yeah, and you have to pretend you're not drunk, or you know how you try to not
I know
act
what you're
drunk.
saying.
And
I think what you're saying is people who are good roller skaters can do bad roller skating.
yes, yeah,
I think we're saying the same thing, but
kind of, yeah.
no,
You know, well, I know you're not a method actor because I used to come and watch the tapings of your show, which the two schools, and it's so interesting. I always found the people who were not the method actors tended to, in a weird way, have more confidence. They could sit there and talk about nothing to do with the thing and go, okay, ready, boom. They walk in and they just fall right into the character. Whereas the method, they got to be alone. They've got to have the angst. They've got to do it. And I always thought it took more talent to be not a method actor versus a method. I don't know.
You guys explain what a method actor is. I think we're assuming everybody knows that system.
Explain, Scott, what it is. Yeah, that's a good point.
Method actor is you go to a class, you go to school for this. If you have a scene where you have to be sad, you have to bring up something from your past. You have to, find deep down in yourself, make believe you're the chair. It's all about connecting with something that happened to you. That's what I think method acting is. And it works for some people and it doesn't work for other people.
Isn't it also
Brando was method? Yeah, he would.
Yeah, but isn't it also where you never get out of character? Like
some do that. Yeah, you never.
Like this didn't Jim Carrey when he did Man in the Moon.
Andy
Kaufman. He wanted to be called Andy. He would eat lunch. He would never break character, and that to me is, I guess, if it works, but that's a strange. I've never worked with anybody like that, so I don't know exactly what the process is. I've been, I've predominantly done sitcoms. Yeah, there's not a lot of time for method. Yeah.
There's not a lot of time for any. I mean, I worked with an actor once. He was a guest star, and he was asking for motivation and on and on.
Oh,
and I
that's funny.
said, just say the line, collect your check, and go home.
And make it funny.
What?
Make it funny.
Yeah, and make it fun. That's it. And I wasn't being an ass. I don't. You don't have time to get into why the guy is leaving or why you're sad. Just do it. And there's a great story of Jack Lemmon, and he was being directed by Billy Wilder, who was phenomenal. Did Some Like It Hot. He did just fantastic director. I saw Jack Lemmon. I think it was him tell the story that he was doing a scene and Billy Wilder said, cut it. Jack, do less. Did it again. Cut it. Jack, do less. Cut it. Jack, do less. And finally, Jack Lemmon said, Billy, would you like me to stop acting? And Billy Wilder said, thank you.
Oh, that's interesting.
Wow.
Yep.
So, it's always, and I remember Henry Winkler saying this a long time. He said his expression was, simplicity is elegance. Simple. Everything just simple.
Yeah.
And I seem to think that always seems to work. Less is more. Small little things, like when you direct people, especially in a horror movie, Mark, when you direct, everybody tends, I'm sure, to get real big because it's a monster, it's the leprechaun, it's Rumpelstiltskin, right?
Yes. And again, yes, they tend to overplay it because it's fantasy and they do it. Yeah. And the better ones are the way, you bring them down, even on a horror movie, even when you are going to go over the top.
But like Mark Holt, right? Mark Holton.
Mark
Holton. He played the guy who had some mental issues on the show, right?
He played Ozzy. He was slightly
right, but he could get away with it. It's
but you know something, Scott? If you look at the scenes, he was so brilliant. He underplayed even being a simpleton. He actually brought a kid. You know, if you really look at it, he actually really did play it on an interesting level in
I haven't
Leprechaun.
seen the movie, so I don't know.
I made you watch it 10 times. You always leave the room.
What's the expression? Never go full retard.
Yes.
I use the word retard because I'm quoting a movie. What was the movie? Thunder. Tropic Thunder. Anyway.
Also, Mark Holton played Francis in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, who stole the bicycle.
And
so
now
people need a
moved out
reference.
of California, like all normal, sane people do.
He moved out. I actually had lunch with him the other day.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
No, I'm not telling you, but yeah.
All right,
he was there for the anniversary of Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh.
There's a big anniversary that at a theater in Glendale.
Yeah, that was a pretty good movie, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Is that the one, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the first one?
It was the first one, and it was Tim Burton's first movie.
Okay.
Wow.
Really?
Yes. And they didn't quite get along, Pee-wee and Tim. I can't tell you secrets, but
Wow.
Pee-wee and Tim did not.
I did not know that. Anyway, so if you like the shirt, you can buy the shirt. Email the podcast, and I have
Take On Life Podcast at gmail.com.
Yes.
You cannot enter this anywhere except the Gmail. You can't comment on Facebook. You have to
And again,
email.
text us some questions for emails. Tell your friends to come on. You know what we're going to do soon, and we have to figure out how to do this.
I can't see you, Scott. You're too small. That was a hint for George.
I know what it was.
Okay, there you go.
Quit directing me. I'm solo.
I got no job. I have to do it.
So I think I got to figure out how to do this where it's safe. We're gonna send a link to somebody out there to have them come on for one of the segments. So I don't know when we're gonna do it. Email again, please. Anyone?
It's crawling at the bottom there.
It's crawling at the bottom. Taking a Life Podcast at gmail.com. But we're going to try to get somebody on. But you understand the problem with doing that.
Are they
Especially
going to take Mark's place? We're going to throw Mark off.
Yes.
You know what? Maybe we'll get somebody to read headlines.
Ooh.
There you go. And let's see if that works. But you did very good, Scott. And you know what? You underplayed it. You didn't do method. You did very well. Can I do a quick shout out to answer, because there was no way to answer in the comments. It was last week.
Sure.
There's somebody actually remembered this movie. It's just between him and I. He wanted to know where I got the song, either Billy Boy or Beautiful Dreamer.
What movie?
Ventriloquist, little ventriloquist dummy, and I didn't even know he remembered the picture. So I have to say, and it was because I used those two songs. Not only were they kind of haunting, we redid them, but they were public domain. We didn't have to pay, because he said, where did I come up with those? One of the songs, I think it was Billy Boy. It's an old song that's now in public domain. So that's your answer. I forgot your name, but I wanted to get back to him. Okay. Mm-hmm. He liked the music. It was a great song in the movie.
Are you done?
Yeah.
That's enough, Mark. I'm directing you.
Yeah, I'm done.
All right, everybody. Anyway, good to see you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. God bless you. And
good night, everyone.
We'll see you next week.
See it, my nose with the